This podcast contains adult themes, explicit language, and the kind of conversations your browser history would rather forget. Listener discretion is advised, and curiosity is highly encouraged.
Pawn for thought. Pawn for thought. Pawn for thought. Pawn for thought. I could beatbox if you want.
We are your kindly sex detectives, ready to guide you through every "what the hell did I just watch" question you have.
Matt is a mental health practitioner with over 3 decades of self-appreciation under his belt.
And Bea is an accredited psychosexual therapist who's seen it all, heard it all, and at this point, the algorithm is afraid of her next search.
What are we talking about today, Matt?
We're talking about step-sibling porn.
Nailed it.
What is step-sibling porn? That's the question.
Beyond being extremely popular, I believe they're not meant to be related.
Yeah. So it's porn involving characters who are perceived to be step-siblings, not real siblings.
Fake incest.
Faux-cest, I believe it's called.
But what is wild to me is I'm not a fan of this porn. I'm going to throw it out immediately. I think I really struggled with it. So knowing that, we'd made kind of a discussion to say that we were going to watch the porn that we talk about, or at least a video of the porn that we talk about. And I appreciate that there's themes and there's undertones and all that sort of stuff in there. I could not get past the relativeness of it. However, researching this was fun as hell.
Yeah. It's not my go-to, to be honest. I'm more into the hot older daddies and the younger stepson type stuff, because the other stuff feels just way too fake and a little bit too straight too.
It's so cheap to make.
Yeah.
You don't need to have any particular gender, location, ethnicity, not even this. Sex doesn't have to even be anything that's particularly kinky.
Exactly.
It can be...
It's the taboo in itself.
Stepsister gets caught masturbating. It's like...
Yeah, and then you've got the classic stepsister gets caught in the washing machine, which has sort of been, I guess, memorialized, or what's the word that I'm looking for?
Do you know what, though? I was thinking about this today, and I got slightly irritated because I was looking at my washing machine at the time, and I was like, that thing is not deep enough. No way does it make any logistical sense for somebody to get caught in a washing machine. They're not deep enough for you to get in. Who was like... If you can't reach the back of your washing machine with your arm, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
You should not be getting caught in there.
Agreed. I feel like you have to have a disproportionately large head to get stuck in your washing machine, but then also, why are you putting your head into the washing machine in the first place? Especially when your stepbrother's around. That's just asking for trouble, right?
Just getting caught into any furniture. At this point in time, I'm not safe at home. Okay?
Lucky for you, you have a platonic family. Is that the word that I'm looking for again? I don't know English.
Biological. You mean everyone is a blood relative?
Yes, exactly. You don't come from a fractured family like I do.
Yeah, cool. So I'm at less risk than you are right now.
Lucky for me, I also don't have any step siblings, so that's a positive.
I'm both thrilled and saddened. Sorry that you didn't gain any additional loved ones, but also really, really happy that you managed to make it out of there without getting stuck in any type of domestic chore and finding yourself lubed up and crying
Jesus Christ.
for help. Do you know what's crazy though? Is in the last 10 years, it's exploded.
It has really.
Step sibling.
No pun intended, but honestly, just looking at Pornhub trends and things like that, the rise in popularity and also just the extreme increase in the amount of content that's online is phenomenal.
Isn't it? I was looking at some of the stats because, Pornhub does the year in porn, where they basically look at all their statistics globally, which I think is amazing. And honestly, if you get
such an interesting read for anybody who's into that kind of thing.
Because they look at by country and by top performers and by themes, rates of use, how long people typically spend on a porn video. It's fantastic as far as nerdy little stats go. But I think there was 50% of videos on Pornhub are fake family step something.
Yeah, it's amazing because, I remember back in the day when I was younger and first sort of started my foray into pornographic content consumption, there really wasn't that much in the way of, step family, step sibling, that FOSES kind of category. It wasn't
really
so much
your age here.
Yeah, it wasn't really so much mainstream. It was definitely more taboo. Like, it was out there, but I think these days it's become so much more normalized for a lot of different reasons.
It's 2014 is when it hit the most search lists. So prior to that, it wasn't really, like, it was there. It's always been there. Prior to that, it wasn't actively searched for as much as it is now.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's a lot of contributing factors that sort of have allowed for that to be the case. Like, there's a lot of evidence to support that blended families and, non-biological families have become a lot more prominent or a lot more normal these days, because obviously the higher rates of divorce and things like that. So there are a lot more families that are, I guess, not blood related.
Oh, that's a good question then. Is it more popular because there's more families that are not blood related or like have the step components than it used to? Because it used to be really rare. Like, they've got movies in the 50s and 60s about it, and there's books predating that. And then, like, what is it, like the Electra complex, Oedipus?
Yeah, exactly.
Around finding family members attractive and everything. Like, it's been around for a long time, but that change in biological families and the structure of families hasn't been as prominent as it is now. Do you know what's really interesting though, when we're talking about like how much step sibling porn or step porn there is, and obviously it's more than 50% of videos made on Pornhub. This was crazy. They did a study on most popular Pornhub videos and like the views that they got, and there was 4.1 billion views for step incest videos.
Wow.
And 3.3 billion for all other videos combined.
That's insane. That's just...
Isn't that just
mind-blowing?
Like, it's eclipsed every other type of porn.
And it's interesting too, because I feel like it's still a category that if you asked people, hey, do you like watching step-sibling porn? A lot of people are going to say, oh, no, God, no, not into that. But the stats kind of reflect that there's a lot more people consuming that kind of content than what are probably willing to admit.
Yeah, I wonder if the memes take them there. They're like, please don't do that, step bro. And then they're like, where does this come from? And then start Googling it, and suddenly they're elbow deep.
Elbow deep. It's also like, I guess, one of those chicken and the egg type things where it's like, well, is it becoming more popular because there is that change in dynamic in families and, blended families and step families and stuff like that? Or is it that there is an increase in how many people are watching this kind of content? Which one is more likely to be the case? Or do they sort of, I guess, play a role within each other?
I think there's also content availability because it's like, again, it's so cheap to make. Well, I mean, I don't know enough about the porn industry to make that statement, so I'm really just throwing out words here.
Yeah.
But it's, again, you don't need particular ages, genders, ethnicities, sex positions, locations. You could pretty much bang out, pun intended, a couple of different scenes.
For sure.
And so you get it flooded. So anytime anyone opens up Pornhub, there's always going to be that step-sibling content.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's also a quote from the VP of Pornhub that said that if a certain tag starts trending, that producers will take notice and then they'll create more of that content as well.
And on top of that, we've also got the general desensitization of people, right? So we see it all the time, but you crave something new and exciting. And so after a while, something needs to be more and more taboo. Things aren't going to cut it. They need to be more interesting to spark those parts of your brain, to spark that arousal. And what's more taboo, really, than the acting of incest?
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of people who do consume this kind of content are aware of the absurdity of step-family porn setups. But at the same time, I guess the flooding of the market and it becoming more mainstream has sort of led to, I guess, lower inhibitions of taboo content and sort of make it a bit more palatable, more digestible for people who previously might not have actually watched that kind of porn.
Yeah, it's super normalized, isn't it? Yeah, because it blurs the lines. It's legal. The actors aren't related. You're not watching people who are, and in the back of your mind as well, that the people in real life wouldn't be biologically related. So it's really skirting that line, and it's grounded in enough reality that it's something that you could feasibly fantasize about in your day-to-day if you were so inclined.
Exactly. I mean, the technical term would be safe displacement of Oedipal or incestual fantasies.
I'm sorry, are those very fancy words? Can you please explain them to the class?
So essentially, what I'm talking about is you can have these sort of fantasies in a way that is safe without harming anybody else, and in a way that sort of meets the need. If that's something that comes up for you where you felt some desire maybe in real life toward a step family figure, or it's something that you fantasized about, so you can kind of project that desire onto a family-like figure without the emotional or the moral conundrums that come along with actual incest.
And do you know what? Feeding off that, there's a part of the brain that when you get really turned on, it stamps out disgust.
I know that part well. Really well.
Which is why we have a thing like post-nut clarity, obviously. Because
never heard of it, sorry. Don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, not you. Never felt shame in my life.
Never.
But because that disgust is stamped out, you're feeding off this, exactly what you're describing. We can explore the fantasy in a way that feels safe, and then we get ourselves turned on, and rather than feeling disgust, we get completely overridden by arousal.
Exactly.
And then when it finishes, you're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and explains why, you can go and beat your meat to 10 of these videos, and once you finally do blow your load, that's when you kind of go, fuck, what did I just do? And then in, maybe a couple of hours, maybe a day's time, you're back on there again, passionate to the same thing. And then you go, why do I keep doing this? And it's your brain function. Your brain's saying, hey, actually, no, this is cool in the moment. And then after you've, shot the wad, you go, wow, I feel like a piece of shit, or like, what's wrong with me? And that's something that you hear so much, in therapy, is people go, oh, I had these desires and these fantasies, and then, after I came, I was just like enveloped in shame and kind of just felt as though, I was a dirty person or there was something wrong with me.
It's like with step sibling porn specifically, what's really fantastic about it, and I don't love it, again, I've said it before, but you can get a lot of underlying themes that turn a person on. So like dominance and submission, power plays, like it might be being secretive, the not wanting to get caught, public play, coercion can sometimes be like a let me talk you into it kind of play. These kinds of underlying themes are all in there without them even having to try, because of the implied power changes, dynamics that exist and within the taboo, which is honestly fascinating.
Yeah, and I think that also explains why they can flood the market with this kind of content, because it's something that applies to almost any sort of sexual kink, desire, interest in, but also within that realm of taboo, because there is the fake incest aspect to it as well. It's like a marketing person's dream, because you can just produce mountains and mountains of content under the guise of it being, step sibling porn, but also like doggy, anal, fisting, all kinds of stuff.
Right. Yeah, we really don't need to do much else. You've just got to put two people in a room and they just have sex. But we have given you the narrative that will help you get turned on, because we've got, like, our brain is our biggest sex organ. That's the thing that turns us on. It sends everything down, gives you all the messages and stuff like that. And it's the reason we get, like, desire. It's the reason that we get turned on, but we do actually need the narrative. That's why people get turned on with dirty talk, with, like, seeing things that they like. You need a narrative.
Yeah.
You don't often, you can just get turned on. Your body does do that on its own, like physiological arousal happens, but we love a fucking narrative.
Yeah, but it's also so similar to, the effects of drug addiction too, because you might start out like stepbrother fucks stepsister on the bed, and then your brain kind of goes, well, I liked that, but I kind of want a little bit more. I'm going to chase that dragon. And all of a sudden your stepbrother ties stepsister to train track and fingers her, train speeds toward them and then rescues them, or something wild like that. Because
honestly, the pressure of that situation sounds really off-putting. I would, if you
I'm
were
sure
joining
it's
that
somebody's
to try and
kink. There's some sort of like,
someone?
Rescue kink in there as well, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. That's when you set a house on fire and then run in to save people.
Disclaimer, don't set your house on
My
fire.
stepsister's in there.
Not in this economy. No one can afford that. I think the other thing that we need to talk about too is the irony and the meme culture that's behind step-sibling porn and step-sibling genre as well. Like, it's something that has really sort of exploded onto the scene with the rise in this genre.
Well, there was stats on, is it GameLink, saying that like roughly 10% of all purchases now involves some type of fake incest themes, whether or not it's sibling, parent, or other scenarios, which is crazy because, it's not really a porn place at all. And to move gaming and that sort of platform towards something sexual like that, I mean, it's always a bit sexual in gaming anyway, but to find that there's that many statistics is really interesting.
And it's crazy too, like just how it's sort of become normalized in everyday society. Like even younger people now are being exposed to this kind of content, and it's sort of becoming a lot more mainstream because people are, reciting that classic line of, "What are you doing, step bro?" And everyone knows it, and you see it in so many memes. And
why do people say they watch it? There's not a lot of information on that.
No, because I think that's the interesting part too, is
there's heaps of empirical research around the rise of step-sibling porn and its use and its societal impact and the way that it is affected by the lack of critical thinking and lack of sex education for people. But all of these statistics around how many people are actually watching it are done exclusively by the companies that market it.
I think it makes sense because they have all the data. They're the ones that are in control of, I guess, making this genre popular. And if not making it popular, at least changing the algorithms in a way that makes it more accessible for people through search terms. And the same with Google too. There's evidence to show that a lot more people, because of search engine optimization, are only having to type in a couple of keywords, and this is the kind of content that will come up for them. So it makes sense that more people have access to it. And also the rise and access to the internet too. Like if you've got more access to the internet and it's sort of unfettered without people being able to say what you can and can't watch, well, then the secrecy and privacy of your own room is perfect for getting into this kind of content.
Yeah. And when it comes down to it, it's extremely difficult because of privacy and confidentiality around sharing what people watch and access on porn sites for any research to be done in the actual numbers. But did you see that there was some woman who had a job and her job was to just watch porn all the time?
Man, what a job, hey.
I think it'd be pretty difficult. I think her job was also to take note of themes.
Yeah, right.
So to watch it highlight it was like data-driven research, like the length of the video, the language that was used in it, all of these things. But that's really the only type of research that I'm aware of. And even then, it wasn't formalized research. It was done by an external company to any type of porn site, but not as part of any formalized research that was actually funded.
Yeah, that's a difficult part about like doing research for these kinds of topics is there's not a lot of formal research. The stuff that, you can find is more, articles from online media outlets and stuff like that with theories and numbers that come mainly from like Pornhub stats.
It's mostly abuse driven when you look at the research that exists. It's all around like what would get funded is how does this impact abuse rates, sexual assault rates, and people's understanding of intimate sexual relationships within family units, as opposed to why people might watch it for fun. Like whether is this serious? Are they actually attributing this to a family member? Because I think there's actually a concept around it being, it's not about it being a family member, it is about it being taboo.
Yeah.
More often than not, we're seeing underlying themes, and that thrill seeking and sensation seeking and imaginative, like narrative driven construction of arousal and desire that continues to, like you said, it continues to amp up. Like you're desensitized, so now we've got to find something that's more interesting.
Yeah,
and going to spark that little putty brain.
The thing about this genre is, it's edgy, but at the same time, it's legally and morally safer and more ethical, obviously, than actual incest fantasies. So just having that step prefix evokes that forbidden family dynamic, but without violating any sort of content laws or that sort of stuff on platforms as well.
I feel like we're skirting around where we really need to go with this, and that is that for people who are not receiving good sex education or critical thinking education, this is, as porn does for every person, models sexual relationships. and models what's okay. So what do we know happens when people without sex education and critical thinking skills start watching porn from a young age that models step-sibling relationships? Because I think statistically it's like 1/3 of child sexual abuse is now perpetrated by other children. And there's like recent studies that say that the most commonly reported pattern is an older brother abusing a younger sister. Boys start watching porn around 11. Girls typically learn sexual behaviors from boys, like they're led by it, because if they don't get the conversations and they don't get the sex education, then you learn it by paying attention to your peers or your parents. Which is why sex education is
Super
so important.
and from an age-appropriate time.
What's an age-appropriate time, Matthew?
From as soon as your kids can start to talk.
Yeah, pretty much. Label those body parts.
It's all about teaching things in the right way that is age-appropriate and helps to actually keep them safe, rather than, I guess, what a lot of people think leads to sexual abuse is actually the opposite.
Wise words if I've ever heard it.
I didn't even know what to say after that. But it is super important to have comprehensive sex education that is age appropriate for kids and young people from as soon as they can start to realize that they have sexual organs. That's when we need to be making sure that we're teaching them the proper names for them and things like that, because it does act as a safeguard. If something was ever to happen where they potentially might be experiencing abuse, it's more believable when a kid is saying they touched my penis rather than the man touched my doodle, things like that.
Yeah, or cookie or something, like relabeling it. I mean, most boys, if not all, have usually seen porn by the age of 15, whereas much less likely for girls to have seen it.
And I think it's getting younger these days.
Narrative role modeling of families that we're talking about, like step-siblings, when it's normalized in porn, it's normalized as a story that people could feasibly be trying with a family member, and without sex ed, critical thinking, like that consent-based, I can say no to this, I recognize it's wrong, and I can go and report it to a safe adult. Yeah, it's having significant impacts. The fact that now sexual abuse is perpetrated more by children than it is adults is absolutely insane. And they do attribute it in a really significant way to pornography access.
Yeah, exactly. Having greater access to not just pornography, but having access to unsupervised online gaming and things like that, where they are at risk of being exposed to people who may be looking to find children for grooming and child abuse, is a really big part in why this is so important to be teaching kids about this.
In a nutshell, talk to your kids, use all the proper words, make sure that they understand sex education. Definitely don't get that sex education from this podcast, because we are not those people right now. Outside of this, we're very good at it, but right now, that's not it. So we're talking about the very real risks that step-sibling porn actually poses to step-siblings in real life when we don't have sex ed.
Exactly.
Unless, of course, like, you're both adults, you've met, you've been dating for a while, and suddenly your parents have been married in some twist of fate, and now you find yourself in a situation where you are in fact step-siblings, in which case, carry on.
No judgment here.
Continue enjoying yourself. So, for our last little segment, which we think is incredibly fun, is post-nut peer support. And that is where Matt and I scroll through the comments on porn videos looking for that post-nut moment where they thought, I need to comment.
I need to share this with the world. I've just busted a fat nut, and it's time for you to know where my head's at.
So we go looking for a few choice comments and just share it with each other, because it's pure joy.
Because that's what friends do. They share the best porn comments with each other.
I think that's what the community's about, as far as I can tell.
There is a real sense of community spirit there, hey. When you go through the Pornhub comments, it just kind of feels like it's quite a supportive place at times. Other times, it's just like a fucking cesspit of humanity.
Yeah, that's very correct. The dichotomy of the post-nut peer support. I am so interested to hear the ones that you found.
Okay, I found this one is gold. The fact they wear shoes on the couch makes me uncomfortable. Also, the dad is sleeping in one shot and then awake in the next. They have 3 chairs at the table for a family of 4 and bring out 2 plates. 0 out of 10 plot, cannot fap.
That's fantastic. I've got, dude's circumcision is clean. My doctor did me dirty.
Oh, it's so good.
I hate that she is washing cream shorts with a red shirt.
Shit's gonna be pink, bro.
Yeah, right? I like this though, because this is what I was saying about the washing machine earlier. There are logistical issues that they have not thought about that are going to bother the living hell out of someone. Your washing machine's not deep enough for your whole body to be in, and that is just dangerous.
100%. I kind of imagine like
Anyway.
neurodivergent people watching porn and just being upset with the colour of the wall or something like that.
Been there, honestly. But I'm with your mate. I would have such a problem if I'm looking at the table. I'm like, why are there 3 plates and 2 people?
Exactly.
Who are we waiting
How am I
on?
supposed to get hard when there's 3 chairs and only 2 plates? What the fuck?
The logistical inaccuracies are ruining this for me.
This is not a real family dynamic.
All right, next one. Hit me with your next comment.
King Arthur couldn't pull me out of hurt. That one was so good. It really just brings an image to my mind, and it just brings me absolute joy.
Yeah, I think it's perfection as far as a comment goes.
I know. And that's a wrap on today's deep, weird dive into your browser history. Was it good for you? Let us know in the comments. Shout out to Frankie and the Woods family for your ongoing contributions. See you next time for your favourite family barbecue background chat show.